This is a venomous abyss.
Why?
Because this was the
What's up with
tutorial.
these commercials,
You didn't
bro?
think you already got me, did you?
Cowabunga, we're pulling!
Commercials
What's
crazy,
up, I'm
bro.
Pro, and this is the Ready Check Pull Guide to the Lost Explorers on Normal and Heroic. This is a one-phase fight with constant 2-target cleave, some spread 3-target cleave for ranged, and you bloodlust on pull. The main idea is that there's 3 turtles, each with their own abilities. First mate Nama needs to be tanked, and the big rule is to never let the other 2 turtles get close to him at the same time, or all 3 gain a massive shield. Every one of his melees puts a stacking debuff on the tank, and when he's smacked with the fish, he permanently gains Mighty Thud, which is a 3-way group soak. Scroll Sage Iku also needs to be tanked. Her big cast is a blink that targets a random player and after a few seconds teleports to their location, doing less damage the farther away they are from the raid. Icebound Flames needs to be interrupted or it puts a bad magic dot and slow on the target. Her tank ability is Shredding Shards, which puts 7 stacks of increased magic damage on the tank. And when she's smacked with the fish, she gains Frostfire Volley. This puts huge frost and fire circles on a few players. These players need to drop their circle patches and then instantly run into the opposite circle
You just
to remove
smack
the
with
patch.
fish and jump
Trader
on the
Gebo
magic mushroom.
cannot be tanked and just walks around the platform in a circle throwing boxes at random players. Each box can either have nothing inside or it can contain a smacky fish. And when Gebo gets smacked with the
Hell no.
mushroom toss and a bomb. Once the bomb explodes, the raid needs to jump onto the mushroom to bounce over the blast. There's also Morzahi, who doesn't really do anything, but if he gets the full energy, you're dead. So always use the fish before he gets to 100 energy. You can only use the fish on each turtle once, so all 3 ultimate abilities will eventually be added to the fight. It doesn't really matter which boss you use to smack
We're watching all the boss fights.
but we think the easiest order
Raid
is
videos.
Nama's Stomp, then Iku's Fire and Frost Circles,
What's
and
K-Dot
finally
too?
Gebo's Mushroom Bomb Bounce. So when you start, you'll pull Nama and Iku away from Gebo, and you'll constantly be moving the bosses counterclockwise to avoid Gebo, who's patting around. On pull, Iku will immediately start casting Icebound Flames, which needs to be interrupted, mostly by the tank. Then a few seconds later, Iku will start casting Blink Nova on a random player. That player needs to run away from the raid to reduce the damage. We like to go to the opposite side of Gebo, the walking turtle, to try and reduce the chances of accidentally stacking all 3 turtles and triggering the shield. Gebo will eventually throw junk at the raid and everyone needs to avoid the swirlies on the ground. Once the boxes land, players need to spread out and each open 1 box so nobody gets multiple stacks of the bleed. Make sure the raid is healthy before breaking any boxes because breaking a box causes raid-wide damage
trying to
and gives
tighten
that
up my
player a stacking
rotation.
bleed. Most boxes will have nothing in them, but 1 box will contain a fish with a blue arrow pointing at it. One assigned player needs to run over and pick the fish up. Anyone can do this, but we thought it was easier to just have a melee pick it up since you need to be in melee range to use it. Then, when Morzahi's energy gets to like 90%, you use your extra action button in melee range to smack Nama with the fish. This resets Morzahi's energy and gives Nama a new ability, Mighty Thud, for the rest of the fight. When Nama casts Mighty Thud, 3 circles go out on random players, and after a few seconds,
Oh, I did not. I needed to look
onto those players, closest the farthest, doing
massive
massive split damage. So you need to split the raid evenly between the 3 soaks. We just had groups 1, 2, and 3 assigned and had everyone else just get in where they fit in. The next time, when Iku is hit with the fish, she puts a giant frost circle on several players and a giant fire circle on several other players. The selected players need to get away from the raid and pair up with 1 frost player and 1 fire player in each pair. Drop the circles next to each other without overlapping, then pop a personal and run into the opposite color's patch to remove your lingering debuff and clear the patches from the ground. Now for Gebo, when he's hit with the fish, he'll occasionally throw a bunch of mushrooms around the room and target 1 player with a red arrow. That player needs to run to the edge, and when the debuff expires, it drops a bomb. A few seconds later, the bomb explodes and sends a massive blast wave across the platform. Right before the wave reaches you, everyone needs to step onto a mushroom to bounce over the wave. Some abilities like Blink can also go through the wave, but not all of them, so test those at your own risk.
So it's like the same as last boss in Windspire. When you jump on the arrow or whatever, you get flung up in the air.
That's basically everything, but there's also another pretty important mechanic. Nama will occasionally target a random player with shell spin and shoot 3 turtle shells in their direction. Melee needs to always bait these away from the range toward the outside of the platform because they're kind of hard to track and getting hit stuns you for 4 seconds, which can be deadly in this fight. And finally for the tanks, start with 1 tank on Nama and the other on Iku. After Iku casts Shredding Shards, giving that tank 7 stacks of the debuff, bring them together and taunt swap the bosses. Then keep Nama next to whichever turtle has more health and move the lower health turtle away. Repeat this after each Shredding Shards to reset the tank's debuff and keep all 3 bosses around the same health. Once 1 turtle dies, the other 2 enrage, so keeping all 3
loving
that
that
1 minute really important. And that's pretty much it. Here's a quick recap for you to review or screenshot for later.
Like 3 different debuffs in 1 minute.
And all of our recaps over at the Ready Check Pull Discord.
How you think about that one? That was the fourth boss.
It's not bad. It's a lot of moving around, but it's not bad.
Yeah,
It
a
depends
little
on
bit
how
of
we gotta carry.
RNG.
We gotta make sure that we gotta make sure that other boss stays away from the other two.
Yeah, the RNG thing for like the fish or that send as a crates or whatever won't have a fish. You think that'd be bad or
The fishes will eventually job as long as we keep getting those boxes and not everybody's getting like five, six boxes at the same
If I were
time.
him, I'd
oh
build
yeah,
my
because
home in auto
the it
and
was
pick up the
doesn't
wheel
it do
with
raid wide
your
damage or whatever.
savings.
Yeah,